Men obsess over women who have this vibration. We're going to dive into this today. What is this vibration I'm speaking of? Well, you're going to want to listen in on this one. So I want to share with you a story of a client who recently reached out to me, someone I worked with about a year ago, and she now is in a relationship. It's a few months old, almost 3 months old, and she wanted some perspective on the relationship. But she said something to me. She was expressing how much she thinks this is a really good guy. He's an emotional communicator. He's done personal development, self-help, spiritual work, therapy, that sort of thing. So she's feeling very much in alignment with this person. But she said something during the conversation that really resonated with me. And I think this will give you some insight into what healthy human beings experience when they're in the early stages of dating, mating, and relating. So she said, I had to become who I wanted to attract. I had to become that. Prior to working with me, and my whole coaching is centered around helping women vet and learn discernment. We can talk about that later. But many of the clients who've come to me who have done some level of healing work in their past, meaning many of us in midlife, and I say midlife is after baby making years and before retirement, are in that bracket of 42 to 69, roughly about 75% of singles who are in the dating marketplace over 45 years old are divorced. Why is this so important? Is because divorce comes with it, as I've said millions of times on videos, the unraveling of the tapestry of our life with another human being. And what's fascinating to me is many people, probably 80% of the people who enter into the dating marketplace after a significant breakup have done little or no work healing what either caused the ending of a relationship or how they contributed to the end of the relationship. Whether it's the cause or contribution, very people do inner work to heal after that. And so when I was speaking to this client, she was reciting how much work she had done prior to working with me. And then when working with me, she got even more attuned to who she is and what she wants. So one of the fundamental principles, I believe every human being, at least if you want to be mated with someone, if you want to be in either a companionship or a partnership-based relationship, is know who you are. That's a very deep question that very few people actually explore. Who am I? Why am I here? And what's it all for? But now I want to go deeper because men, emotionally mature, secure attachment style men, obsess for this kind of woman. It's the kind of woman who says, and by the way, everything I'm sharing here is commensurate with men as well. Let me just stop for a second. This is true for men and women alike. But since this title is for women about men, what men obsess over is a woman who is self-aware to ask the question, do I have emotional IQ? Do I have emotional IQ? And we're going to talk about that in a second. Do I have good relationship skills? Do I have good relationship skills? Believe it or not, many people have poor communication or very weak developed relationship skills. And we're going to get into that as well. Do I know what I want? You know, it fascinates me, folks. Women come to me all the time for seeking coaching. They go, Jonathan, I know what I want. I know what I want. I know what I want in a relationship. And then they go through this proprietary coaching program I created. It's an 8-week boot camp. And you know what they say every single time afterwards? Why didn't they teach me this in school? Why didn't my parents teach me this? Why didn't I learn this before I married or dated the wrong guy? Many of us actually don't know who is truly compatible with us, given that we're swimming in a sea of a lot of different types of people in our lives. And one other question, I believe or a couple more questions, every human who's ready for a partnership-based relationship says, can I stay in my power? Can I stay in my power? And I only bring this up because women tend to have a propensity to give their power away. What does it look like to give their power away? Well, it looks like the relationship is always on the man's terms. You've been indoctrinated in this belief that men are the leaders of the relationship and it's God, man, and the woman below. Well, let me just tell you, in today's society, healthy relationships are a co-creative experience. It's not the man's job to lead. And quite frankly, ladies, men are rather poor at this. So what do I mean about staying in my power? Is to recognize this in advance, because the minute you make your relationship success dependent upon another human being, you have effectively given your power away. If you're unable to speak your truth to someone, you're effectively giving your power away. When the relationship ends, you always focus on him. It's all about him. It's about him. It's about him. You're giving your power away. It's always expecting that he's initiating all conversations. That's giving your power away. You stop doing what you did before the relationship, your pre-life before the relationship, and it's all about him. That's giving your power away. Feeling like you can't live without him, that's giving your power away. And you think he's the only person that you're ever going to feel this way. These are just many examples of giving your power away. And sadly, women have a propensity to this. I think you've actually been biologically conditioned this way from a very codependent kind of place. And I'm here to suggest, as I said in the beginning of this broadcast, to do the inner work, to heal the childhood wounds and adult traumas that cause us to give our power away. Now, it's important to recognize that healing your past relationships is so critically important, and what I'm about to share with you right now. So who do men obsess over? What type of vibration? That woman that has self-confidence and being in her power. And this is what I want to describe, what it looks like to be in this vibration, to be in your power, to have this level of self-confidence. Ladies, you're attracted to men who are confident. Men are attracted to women who are confident. What does that look like? It starts with knowing thyself. Know who you are. A lot of people, I remember that I said earlier in this broadcast, who am I? Know thyself. What does that look like in romantic love? Well, first, it starts by understanding. Oh, let me reframe this. In no particular order, what I'm about to share, these 9 things, are in no particular order, but I like number 1. It's that know your love attachment style. Number 1, know your love attachment style. If you haven't read the book Attached by Amir Levine, Rachel Heller, I highly recommend reading this book. Why? To understand, do you have a secure or insecure attachment style? I would venture to say that, 75+% of people in the dating marketplace probably have an insecure attachment style. What does that look like? Anxious, avoidant, fearful avoidant, dismissive avoidant, anxious preoccupied, disorganized. Those are insecure ways we attach to people. And I'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But I think first is recognizing what your attachment style is. I would bet here in the United States, 90% of people don't know what that is. I'm betting on that one. Sadly, we have an unconscious population. We have emotional zombies. We have emotionally constipated people. We have emotionally unavailable people who are unaware of who they are, hence why they struggle in relationship over and over again. So number 1 is know your love attachment style. Number 2, I put this in the category of self-responsibility, but this is knowing when you get triggered. When something triggers you, it's not the other person that's triggering. It's triggering something from your past. The other person is creating a reminder of something. That a trigger is something from our past. And so when we take ownership of our triggers and not point the finger, you triggered me, it's all your fault, and go, wait a minute, I'm the one experiencing this. I have to look inward. Why am I making the choice to get triggered? And really get granular, if we can, to go back in time. Because the reality is most humans suffer from these 2 issues: abandonment and rejection, which is kind of one and the same to some degree. Abandonment and rejection. That's the core I'm the core wound is, but the byproduct of that, is I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. I'm not likable. And so these triggers cause us to react in ways that aren't healthy in relationship. So taking responsibility of your triggers and going, wait a minute, this is me reacting right now. Let me get clear on what's going on. And so when I speak to this person that I'm engaging in relationship with, I come from a place of empowerment, not victim consciousness. Now, another fundamental of know thyself, this being in your power, is self-awareness. Self-awareness is recognizing one's fears, insecurities, negative patterns, limiting beliefs, how our actions affect other people, and the ability to shift by being both the audience member in your life. Imagine your life is a play and you're on stage living your life. Your ego is the director that's affecting your life. And sometimes you listen to the director, sometimes you don't. The other members in your play, the people around you, are just mirrors of something within inside yourself. But self-awareness is that capacity to look outside of yourself and witness all of this from an objective point of view, Hey, it was 11:11, objective point of view. That takes ninja level relationship skills to be in one's power, to recognize that it's not, we oftentimes blame others for what's going on inside of us. Instead of pointing the finger, looking those three fingers pointing back and saying, I'm the common denominator of this experience. Now you're stepping into that vibration, stepping into that power that emotionally healthy, secure men and women appreciate so much. I think it's important in romantic relationship to know what you're good at and what you're not good at. To be clear on what you're good at and what you're not good at. And we're not all good at everything. Some people are good cleaning the house. Some people are messy at cleaning the house. Okay, I'm just picking on that right now. Because my dear friend is engaged to a woman he calls the tornado. She's not good at cleaning the house, and he's a little bit anal retentive. But we all have the strengths and weaknesses in relationship. Many of you know one of my weaknesses. I struggle with foreign travel. When I'm in an unfamiliar place, I can get a little bit antsy. I'm aware of my weakness. I'm working on it, but I'm just aware of it. So when you're in your power, you know what you're good at in relationship and what you're not good at in relationship, and certainly taking ownership of your past relationships. As I said in the beginning of this conversation, when I was speaking to that client who's excited to tell me about this new relationship she's in, she had to look at her past relationships and heal her past relationships and really come to a place of because an ending of a relationship is a loss, and we can feel a myriad of emotions until we get to a level of acceptance, even though there might be residue. Sadly, many people today are deeply wounded from past relationships, and they've done little or no healing to be better prepared for a significant relationship in the future. I think it's important to have a self-care practice and a healing practice in one's life, whether that's physical self-care or emotional self-care, which includes meditation. It could use exercise. I think it's good and important to have that sense of awareness in this power that you're in. Also, relationship readiness. Being relationship ready, what does that look like? That's where your desire for a relationship, your capacity for a relationship, and your vision for a relationship exceeds your fears and your past hurts. Your desire, capacity, vision exceeds. This is where a lot of people get tripped up. They might desire it, they might have a vision, but their capacity isn't there because they're still holding on to a past relationship. When you're vetting a man, this is something I teach in my private coaching. By the way, there's a link right here to schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. There's links below. Vetting is asking these deeper, radically honest questions early on to determine if he's even capable of a relationship. We are swimming in a sea of emotional dysfunctionality. We are effectively at a swap meet of a lot of used clothes and furniture and jewelry and such. And it's about finding the one who's in best condition, but also has the propensity to go deeper. Well, I'm inviting you. By the way, many of you can experience companionship-based relationships. That's the norm today, are companionship-based relationships. I'm here to evolve the conversation more into partnership-based relationships. And knowing thyself prepares you for this, to have that victor consciousness instead of victim consciousness. To have relationship skills. Remember I said that earlier? If you haven't read the book Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg, I highly recommend reading this book. This is a book to get clarity on how to have more effective communication with your partner, to be able to express your needs, wants, and desires in a way that can be seen, heard, and understood. But Jonathan, I'm just told that I need to have boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. That's all I need is, and when I have boundaries, folks, many of you might have boundaries, but the way you express your boundaries can oftentimes come across in a confrontational way. This book is about expressing it from a compassionate way, and all the books I recommend are listed below. I think it's important also to know thyself, is to know your must-haves and your deal breakers, to be very clear on what you need in a relationship, what core values matter to you, what is the vision of the type of relationship you seek, knowing what's blendable with your life and what's not blendable in your life. And then, as I said before, this emotional maturity piece. We are being called as a humanity, at least here in the United States, is to evolve past our cave person way of operating and really connecting with someone at a heart-centered level. That means emotional constipation isn't allowed anymore. Emotionally unavailable isn't allowed anymore. And emotional zombies are not allowed anymore. You're not allowed it. And lastly, having an inner purpose in your life beyond a relationship, having a true inner compass to have purpose in your life prepares you to be in this vibration. Because if you're going to want to be in the dating marketplace, there's a few things I'm going to share with you right now, 5 things that are so critically important. So make sure you have a pen and paper and write this down. Because as I said, the first thing is knowing someone's motives. What are their motives? Do they have a short-term mating strategy or a long-term mating strategy? Are they just seeking companionship, or are they seeking life partnership? And believe me, you can ask a few critically important questions before you ever meet someone just to get a sense of where they might be with this question. Most people are either going to waste your time or use you to some degree. So asking those deeper questions before you give your physical body to someone would behoove you. I think it's also to recognize that there's a, mutual attraction. Well, in the context of mutual attraction, I think it's important to recognize the deception of chemistry, It is very deceptive when two people have chemistry, when they have that excitement. It can be very, that is not an indicator of relationship success. So I think it's important to be aware of that. I think it's important to learn the skills to get to know someone else, assessing their motives, assessing their values, determining, are we aligned in our values, our lifestyle, emotional maturity? Do we align on our social activities, our hobbies, our mutual interest? Are we aligned sexually? I think this is a critically important thing. I think sex should be a conversation well before having sex. I think it's important to have conversations about what's expected in the bedroom, because that's the whole point of a romantic relationship. Otherwise, you can just have friendship-based relationships. And then building friendship, building a life together, falling in love with each other. That happens over a period of time. And it starts with emotional intimacy, by building trust, by identifying your needs, your wants, your desires, being able to navigate your differences, to be able to overcome those threshold barriers, and to continually verbally express appreciation for your partner. This builds trust through emotional intimacy. And lastly, Trust is all based on building a commitment with another human being. The first level of commitment is just the agreement to monogamy and exclusivity. In other words, hey, while I'm physically intimate with you, I'm going to be monogamous. And while we're in this space, I have no real intent to be seeking to meet others during that time. I think that's a fair assessment or a fair request for people to, and I call this level 1 of commitment. Level 2 of commitment is being teammates with one another. Teammates with one another, learning to operate, and that building block of merging and integrating lives with one another reaches the third level of commitment, and that's partnership all in. Partnership all in. It's serious because in that team, you've agreed in this teammate level, we're going to operate as partners, and now we're going to be all in. These are just the way I've observed it. You can look at it as you wish. But men and women obsess over this vibration of self-confidence, being in one power, know thyself. And by doing this work, as I said in the earlier part of this broadcast, this client who came to me said, I wanted to become what I want to attract. And by doing this work, she attracted a man, and she's only a couple months or 3 months into this relationship, but she's highly excited. She wants me to vet the guy. It's one of the things I did for her, and I'm totally on board the way she describes this person. It's not that anxious or tepid feeling that she's feeling right now. She seems to be very much in her secure, which was a little bit foreign to her, and I can relate to that as well. When you meet a secure person, when two secure people meet, it might be a little bit foreign because in many cases we don't know what that feels like. But anyway, in this particular case, I think she's got a good choice. She became what she wanted to attract because she knew herself, she knew her motives, she knew how to assess, how to vet, how to build intimacy. And she's had those radically honest conversations about commitment. And that's my invitation for all of you. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating with you? Please let me know if it is. Post a comment below. I do my best to read them all in the first 24 hours. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. And if you want to connect with me directly, there's links below to schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. There's a link to join my group called Midlife Love Mastery. There's a link to follow me on Instagram and get all the books I recommend and get my dating vows all listed below.